Jay here, Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk / Gazetta. As you can see, I'm live. I'm in my kitchen. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. Little weather update. It's actually quite sunny in sunny Salford. Thank you. It's good to see loads of people in the chat already. I want to talk a little bit about the results yesterday. Chelsea, Villa dropping points helps Manchester United. City getting that win. They weren't great, City. They were pretty lucky as well because I thought Bernardo Silva should have had a second yellow and been sent off, and you'd have fancied Newcastle to get some out of there. But we know it's highly unlikely, despite what some of us might have said, that United can get the top two, can win the title or finish second. But third place is within our grasp. So what does that mean if that happens for Michael Carrick? Does that mean he is going to then become the permanent Manchester United manager? Get involved in the chat and the comments. Good to see Akash K in the chat saying sunny in Brum as well. Good to hear that. Salford is too sunny, says Roberto Roos. It's an emergency. Welcome to Jay's Sunday morning kitchen show, even, says Notch. Thank you, Notch. Right, let's just talk a little bit about yesterday. Someone says, why is there bog roll under your coffee machine? Oh, it's not. It's labels. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with having toilet roll under your coffee machine, but it's actually labels. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about yesterday, about the games yesterday and what that means for Manchester United. So Chelsea drew with Burnley. Now, Chelsea took the lead against Burnley, ended up drawing. I think Wesley Fofana got sent off. Not a great result for them. The manager, Liam Rosignol, was like sort of digging out one of the players. They said he didn't basically do his job in the positionally in the cut for the corner or whatever it was. However it was, Chelsea conceded. I think it was from a corner. So not a good result for them. Drawing at home to Burnley when you've been winning, a Burnley team that have struggled this season and are looking likely for relegation, ain't great. You look at Aston Villa as well. It's a kind of different story for them because they were behind against Leeds and it was a late Tammy Abraham equaliser that got them the draw. But for both teams there, you're going to look at that and go, those aren't good results. Drawing with Leeds at home, I think it was, and drawing at home to Burnley. Yes, you can look at, okay, Villa rescued a point and Chelsea with that at 10 men, so it could have been a lot worse. But those will feel like points drops no matter how you try and spin it. And this is a massive opportunity for Manchester United because, look, at this stage of the season, yeah, we all know it's ifs and buts and maybes, right? There's no sort of set in stone or definite, or we can't go, well, this is going to happen, or this is, we don't know, right? All we can do is sort of speculate, debate, and discuss. And I want you guys to get involved in that discussion about what is likely to happen or what is it you think will happen. Now, at the moment, Manchester United are the informed team. We had a sort of equal record to Chelsea over the last 5 games. They'd won 4, I think, and drawn 1, which is the same as us in the Premier League. Now they've drawn 2 and won 3 of their last 5 games. So slightly tailed off. Now, we've got a difficult game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium tomorrow night. I'm not kidding ourselves there. Everton are a good team. It ain't going to be easy. But we went to the Emirates and got a result. There's no reason to think we can't get a result against Everton. So if we were to win against Everton, we'd be on 48 points on the same amount of games played as everyone above us. And we'd be 3 points above Chelsea and 3 points behind Aston Villa. Aston Villa have won 2 of their last 5. They've drawn 2 and lost 1. Villa haven't been the same for me over the last month or so. They had that sort of purple patch, didn't they, where they were just getting loads of wins, but getting close wins as well, including against us, 2-1s, 1-0s, games where it could have gone either way, but they get the win. Now it feels like games can go either way and they're not getting the win. Sometimes they are, but they're also getting draws and they're also losing. City and Arsenal, they're 11 points ahead of us. Obviously, we've got City are 11 points ahead of us. We've got a game in hand. We can knock it down to 8 points. Never say never, but it's unlikely, let's be frank. Whereas I think a third place finish is within our grasp. So what does that mean? Now, you might go, well, what's the real difference between 3rd and 4th if it's just Champions League football, or even 5th in Champions League football? This is going to sound weird, right? But I think you might know what I mean. 3rd feels different. If you were to come in as Manchester United manager in the state we were in when Michael Carrick took over, we weren't a million miles away from the top 4. Let's not kid ourselves. But we also weren't a million miles away from like 10th. It wasn't a good run we'd had. Now, if you were to come in and get us, I've seen my better half is in there. I've already done that. I've already spoken about the labels. If you were to come in and go, okay, Manchester United, Michael Carrick took us from was it 6 months ago, we finished third. It's hard to argue against giving him that job permanently. It just feels like he's done a ridiculously good job. Now, if you finish 5th or 4th, you go, okay, he's done a good job. He's still done a fantastic job, especially if that's 5th Champions League football. But 3rd would be almost as good as he could have done. It kind of feels like it's mathematically impossible if City and Arsenal keep winning or keep gaining points to get top 2. So he's literally done the best job he could possibly do. How can you ignore that? I don't know, right? Let me know what you think. Either, I'm not going to repeat that, the rest of it. It's tomorrow, but I'm sure you know that. Shendon says, Everton will be another tough match, but if we can win, maybe we do deserve 3rd. After all, if we get 3rd, and again, I keep doing the disclaimer of ifs and buts and maybes, would you say Michael Carrick is untouchable? Or, for some people, is it still Luis Enrique if, again, that dreaded word, is available? Let me know what you think. Wayne Davies says, do you still play a pre-qualifier for the Champions League if you finish 4th? I don't think so. I'm not sure. I mean, look, if you do, I don't think anyone will be overly fussed. Andy Crime says, Jay, before Amorim got sacked, I had a dream that we were together and we bumped into Amorim and we proper convinced him he was the right man and we'd always back him. By the way, we've never met. Happy Sunday. Thanks to that, Andy Crime. I feel this is an open forum on a Sunday to share your thoughts and dreams and anything else that's going on. Isaac says, that 3rd place is why we needed those lads. Those lads said we are now making efforts to build mentality and confidence in all games. That alone makes me feel happier. Does he mean sold there? I'm not sure. But look, it's well within our grasp. We're in a good bit of form. We've had the toughest games so far we could have had under Michael Carrick, which was City and Arsenal, and we took maximum points from them. Slightly annoying. We didn't get the win against West Ham, but even that draw was through the prism of a last-minute was with a last-minute equaliser. So it's not like that was a disaster, and it was also a very good finish for Benjamin Sesko, a player that probably needed that. So even that was a positive, because had it been a loss, you'd been like, oh. But to get a last-minute win, to keep going, last-minute equaliser, to keep going, and I do feel like we were a little bit fatigued in that game. Now, you might go, oh, come on, I've seen people arguing, Jade, he's a professional footballer, should be able to play 2 games in 4 days. We should, but we're not used to it. We haven't had cup competition, have we? We haven't had Champions League or European football. So having that game so quickly after the Spurs game probably did affect us a little bit. Now we've got 1 game a week from now until the end of the season. So when other teams are going to be in Europe and going to be having those games, we ain't. When other teams, some teams obviously have got other cups as well. We're not involved in those. So that could be an advantage for us. I mean, I do feel confident. I do feel like we can get 3rd place. And I do feel, I mean, to be honest with you, this department feels we can win the title, but that's just me being absolutely deluded. But I do feel that 3rd place is within our grasp. And if we get that, I just can't imagine a scenario where you get it and don't give Michael Carrick a job. I don't. And here's what I think is going to happen anyway. You might ignore me. You might think I'm right. I think there's a good chance if City win the league, and I think they probably will, that Pep Guardiola walks away, goes out on a high, similar to Fergie, obviously not as successful as Fergie, but goes out as a champion, and then they go all out for Enrique, and they throw the kitchen sink at him. They throw ridiculous amounts of money at him, which City have done in the past with managers, aren't they? I'm not saying offshore bank accounts or anything like that. Just, some people might say that. I'm not. But they go all out to get Luis Enrique. And other than Luis Enrique, I don't think there's a candidate out there that everyone is properly mad keen for, apart from Michael Carrick. Nagelsmann, yeah, all right, if you want. Ancelotti, what is he going to come? He seems to be enjoying himself. Done it on Copacabana or wherever he is. Tuchel signed a new deal with the FA. Yes, you could argue that's just so the FA can get some money if we go for Thomas Tuchel. But I am underwhelmed by the idea of Thomas Tuchel coming to Manchester United. I just am. I think his club career, forget what he's done at England level, it doesn't count. What he's done at club level over the last few years has been very good. We've got a Champions League winner in there. You can't ignore it. But I think if you scratch beneath the surface of those achievements, there's some worries there. I mean, he didn't win the title at Bayern Munich and got sacked. That ain't great. And he ended up getting sacked at Chelsea. I know it was under Todd Burley and everything was a bit mental. But I don't know. Mikel has got a good point here. I think Company will manage City next season. That could happen. I didn't think of that. That's a good point. I still think they'll go all out for Luis Enrique. I do. But Company could be one. I think Company will end up staying at Bayern Munich a bit longer. Arnook E Beast says brown envelopes. Jay, say no more. Hey, no Tommy Tickle says Frank. If anyone, I'd want Allegri. Says don't talk over bars. Yeah, I mean, there's a few names there. Nav Sandu says if we win tomorrow night, then Carrick should get the job permanent. I love that. If we win tomorrow, just give him the job permanently. Look, right now, Michael Carrick is doing and saying the right things. And I want to get into the press conference a little bit as well, because we've not spoken about it, have we, on the channel? Well, I haven't since it happened. I don't know if Joe and Joe spoke about it on the brew. I'm going to catch up with that later. But Michael Carrick was asked, I know they won't have spoken about some of the embargo, but anyway, because it was obviously recorded or was live before that. Michael Carrick was asked a lot of questions. He says the right things. He was asked about the whole Sir Jim Ratcliffe gate. I don't want to keep going over that. I will mention it. He was asked about it. I thought he handled it very well. I liked his interview with Mark Chapman. We were talking about that the other day. I thought he came across very well. He said the right things, spoke about the academy, spoke about the team, the players. Obviously, he mentioned, I'm paraphrasing, but the job is more or less the dream job. So I don't think there's any question marks around whether Michael Carrick would accept the job if he was offered it. I loved him as a player. I love him as a manager. I would be more than happy if Michael Carrick ended up as permanent manager at Manchester United. He'd be my choice. He would. I know some people disagree, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here for all our opinions. But I'd be in heaven if Michael Carrick was given that job permanently. And I know it's not exactly a scientific reason, but other than the fact he was a great manager and he's done a great player and a great manager, I also like the fact he's been a great manager so far at United. I also like the way he carries himself and the way he looks in the dugout. I just do. He's got something about him. He's got a bit of aura, as the kids say. So Michael Carrick as a player was one of the best players when it came to reading the game. Now, that doesn't always translate, but sometimes it does. And I think it will do. And it is doing for Manchester United. So I'd be more than happy with Manchester United. Don't talk over bars. Says stay with the United identity. It works in the 50s, 90s and noughties. And it will work again. Frank F says if Amorim was sacked for losing his head, Emery has no chance. There was a time when I looked at Unai Emery and I thought, yeah, you know what? I'd have him at United. I said that. I said I'd have had him. I think he... forgive me, we've got 4 days. Slightly, oh God, is that what it is? When's the Newcastle game? I thought we had a gap. That's a bit disconcerting. I thought it was 1 game a week, but someone just pointed out there's actually a closer gap. Oh, there is, you're right, yeah. So it's he might have to shuffle it. I think Michael Carrick might have to shuffle it, for that Palace to Newcastle game. I didn't realise that. I thought we were a bit further in the week, but we're not. That's a good point, that. So we've got a game against Palace on Sunday at 2:00, and then we're against Newcastle on the Wednesday. Now, if the West Ham game's anything to go by, I think the players felt it a little bit. Now, I think he might have to go, okay, I don't just pick the same 11 for the Palace game, for the Newcastle game. Because then you've got an 11, this is the annoying thing, then you've got an 11-day break. So it'd be a lot better if we played on the 1st, the 7th, and the 15th, or the 14th, whatever, but we don't. We play on the 1st, the 4th, and then the 15th. So, yeah, that worries me a little bit. I think Michael Carrick might have learned from that West Ham game and go, look, for the Palace game, you have a team. For the Newcastle game, maybe you shuffle it slightly. And we have got the players to do that. Yeah, Ryan Turner says a wee shuffle will be required, I think, Jay. Yeah, I agree. And I think we've got the players to do that. Look, if for one of those games you were to rest Cunha and bring in Sesko, would everyone be like, oh my God, what's he doing? He's lost the plot. Maybe you even said, I'm going to rest Maguire and brought in Lenny Yoro. I don't think it's the end of the world if you wanted to shuffle it a little bit. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. C. James John says, also, Carrick didn't substitute earlier. There's another option for you. You can make loads of subs, so why not do it a little bit earlier? He said, Carrick still, this is a weird thing with Michael Carrick. He's got experience. He's been a manager in his own right. He's been manager briefly at Manchester United before, but he's also relatively new. He's only managed about, 7 Premier League games, whatever it is, or 8 Premier League games. So he's learning a little bit as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Fergie learned about being a Manchester United manager whilst he was at United. People say, well, you can't learn on the job at United. Well, you can. Because if you don't learn something whilst managing Manchester United, you're an idiot. So I don't have a problem with Michael Carrick learning things and going, actually, if you look at the West Ham game, maybe I should have done this a little bit differently. Let's take that into the Newcastle game. So it's a really good point. Thanks for pointing that out as well. I want to talk quickly about Diogo Dalot. I don't know if you saw the interview he did with Rio. We shared some clips on our socials. Look, Dalot's become a figure with a lot of criticism from Manchester United fans, but I thought he carried himself really well in that interview. I also don't buy into some of the criticism. I think it's a little bit OTT, to be fair. I think if you look back, yeah, he had a bad sort of first half against City, but I think he's had some very good games under Michael Carrick, and he looks much better, much more settled in the right back role rather than a right wing back or a left wing back. I don't think that suits him. So yeah, if you get a chance to watch that interview, it's good. And what I like about the interview as well is I'm a big fan of this when players don't throw the previous manager under the bus. I think it's the right thing to do. I remember in Nemanja Matic when Jose left, was asked a lot of questions about him post-match once. Negative questions, like, oh, you're all a lot happier now that Jose's gone kind of thing. And listen, he might have been feeling that, but he certainly didn't say it. And he said, I'm not going to get into that and start criticising the previous manager. And Dalot was quite kind to Ruben Amorim. He said, if you look at what Ruben Amorim's done, he sort of talks about the positives and how, you know, people might not realise he's had a good effect on the club. And I'm not someone who has, you know, is enamoured of Ruben Amorim's tenure at United. I thought whilst there was some good points to win at Anfield, the win at the Etihad, there was a lot of disappointing parts as well. You know my thoughts on Kobbie Mainoo. I won't get into that again. If you don't, I love him, and I can't believe he didn't start under Ruben Amorim this season in the Premier League. Bilbao against Spurs was obviously bad, and Grimsby and all the rest of it. But Dalot was pointing out there's good things there that he did that have sort of reverberated to the team still now. And well, you might not agree with that, but I like the fact that he was sort of complimentary towards the previous manager. I think it's a good look. That I do. It's something I like. Dark Rose says, Jay, should the lineups be in accordance to the opposition team's style of play? This is a great question. I wouldn't mind doing a video on this because there's this old sort of question in there at United, like, do you set up because of the opposition, or are we now, man? We're United. We do our own thing. Like, where do you draw the line? Because there was times when Fergie used to set up based on the opposition, especially in Europe. He'd go, right, Inter are going to do this. We're going to do that. And there's other times when Fergie just go, right, your team is Schmeichel, Parker, Pallister, Bruce, Irwin, Ince, Keane, Kanchelskis, Giggs, Eric, Hughes. Boom, go out, play 55 games this season and win the lot. Right? That's, you know, we've had both sides of it, haven't we? I think you have to incorporate it differently and do different things with different, you know, horses for courses and all that. And there's nothing wrong with altering your team against the opposition if it's successful. I don't think you should be arrogant enough to go, well, we're Man United, we never change our way, when even the great Sir Alex Ferguson did. But the flip side to that would be if it's someone like, you know, Wolves at home, I don't think you should be changing your system to how you're going to play against Wolves at Old Trafford. I think, you know, you should play the way you want to. So I think it depends on the opposition. In answer, long-winded answer to that question, but yeah, I think it's a very good one as well. Mr. RG wants this. Jay talks about Mainoo, well, it's Mainoo for starters, likes Zidane. Like Zidane, no, Mainoo's better than Zidane. Anyone who's watched them both knows that. Come on, don't be stupid. Jay, Joe took my sister on a date years ago to Burger King and made her pay for it. Thoughts? Is that true? Is that real? Did that really happen? Because I know Joe Smith, right? And he's a generous guy. He is. He's not, you know, one of them, but he's all right. He gets his hand in his pocket. So I'd be very surprised if that happened. I will ask him about it. I don't know if he's messing about, but I will ask him about it. Talk about messing about as well. City been at it again, haven't they? They're just such losers. They're just so sad, right? Honestly, did you do my head in? Did you do my head in, say it? Like, they're up for 4 trophies this season, right? There's a good chance they're going to win the Premier League. They're probably favourites for the Champions League, and yet they're still obsessed with United. Like, they won the other week, and they did. We've just won our 41st game of the season. And don't tell me that word, Diggy United, because we've only got 40 games this season. Because they never, ever tweet that. They never tweet, we've just won our 38th game or 39th game or whatever. Someone's going to dig out a tweet now where they've done it. But it's not something you see very often either way. And they did that on the 41st. And you thought, that's obviously a dig at United because we've only played 40 games this season. And then yesterday they did about the haircut. Now, I know that Frank's haircut is driving the world of football doolally, and loads of people are just fuming with him and are frustrated, and it's become a thing. And like everyone's like, oh my God, this guy and his hair and all the rest of it. I like Frank. We've had him on the channel. I know people are sort of sick of him, but he is a good guy. He is a United fan. And I actually do think some of the abuse is getting to him. But City going on about it just shows that we're there. They're always going to be, we're always going to be in their heads, aren't they? They try and act like they're not bothered about us. We don't care about United. You're irrelevant. Are we? If we are, why'd you keep sort of referring to us on your socials? Just get on with your own thing, man. Get on with trying to win 4 trophies this season, trying to win the title. Don't worry about Manchester United, just forever in our shadow. Absolutely obsessed. You sad, little, pathetic blue. Right. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to be back. I'm going to probably do another one tomorrow because it's the game tomorrow night, in it. So we'll do a news tomorrow morning. Probably from my kitchen again because everyone's in later on. So I'm not going to be able to get to Old Trafford and film it unless I do it myself, and no one wants to see that. So we'll probably do another live tomorrow morning. Make sure you go and check out all the other videos on the channel as well. You've got the brew. It's like a little Sloppy Joe's special. You've also got the preview. Don't forget about that. Got the preview with me and Joe Smith, of course. So you can go and check that. There's a link in the chat there. I've just put a little link in to the Stretford Paddock merch. Everyone, you can see the merch. So got loads of merch there. Thank you to everyone supporting the channel and buying merch, and also it's top quality stuff as well. So I'll be back later on. Well, not later on. I'm back tomorrow. We've got the North London derby today, isn't it? It's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the worstly named stadium in the world. So Arsenal having a bit of a wobbly one, aren't they? And with City winning yesterday, then yeah, Arsenal need a win, really, don't they? And Spurs have been poor, haven't they, this season, but you never know in a derby. Love that. Jordan Fielding, they just simply don't have the fan base to fill the stadium. Great point. About City, obviously. So yeah, we're watching the North London derby there and see what goes on and see if Arsenal are ready to hand the title over to City. Well, maybe, you never know. United could do a madness. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully you can enjoy a bit of sun today. Thanks for watching.